So today we are also going to talk about factoring polynomials, so I can factor polynomials. So hopefully you're able to kind of understand the X marks the spot method and how we deal with that. So now we're going to talk about different scenarios with all of that. So we're going to just keep practicing them. So here's our first example: x squared plus 4x minus 21. B, C, right? Always label those first. Don't forget to take the sign that's in front. Make your X marks the spot, negative 21 and 4. Okay, so this is a little tricky. So I'm negative 21 4 factors. I get 7 and 3, but that get added to 10. Oh, what about if I try this? Negative 7, 3. Well, if I do that, okay, I get negative 21 if I multiply them, but if I add them, I get negative 4. Well, what if I just move this one over here? Right, still get negative 21. If I add them, I get positive 4. So here's the thing. When C is negative, then these signs right here and here are going to be opposite. So one is going to be positive, one is going to be negative. If my C is positive, you want to flip back to yesterday's notes, then both signs are going to be the same, both positive or both negative. But if my C is positive, they're going to be different signs. So that is what will help you recognize this a little bit quicker as well. So in this case, I got my P and Q, so I have x plus 7, y because it's positive, and x minus 3. Okay? So why don't you guys try these next 6 on your own using this example. If you don't get it, if you're getting them wrong still, then once again, watch it on your own video on YouTube or Schoology or wherever I post them. Okay? Next, word problems, everyone's favorite. A farmer plants a rectangular pumpkin patch in the northeast corner of the square plot of the land. So it looks like the pumpkin patch is just right here. It is nowhere else. The area of the pumpkin patch is 600 square feet or meters. What is the area of the square plot of land? Well, okay, let's try to figure it out in terms of S. If this entire thing from here to here is 40, but I know from here to here it's S, right? Is from here, and this much is 40. Do I know what the distance from here to here is? Well, isn't that just S minus 40? Right, if I took S and I subtracted 40, I should get that plot of land. Using the same thing, I get from here to here. If my entire thing is also S, this is 30, then this must be S minus 30. Right, you're taking the whole thing and you're subtracting what's used, and you get S minus 30. Right? So from here, you could figure out the dimensions. How? Well, what is area? Area is equal to what? Length times width. What is the total area of the pumpkin patch? 600 square meters. Well, what's my length? Looks like my length is S minus 30. What's my width? Well, S minus 40. Okay, so that is step number 1. Write the equation that represents the area. So all I did, I took this, and I took total and put them into one equation. Step 2, multiply to get rid of the parentheses. Hopefully you remember, how do I multiply binomials? You have to use FOIL. There is no other way you can solve this other than FOIL. So on the right side, I have to get rid of all parentheses first. So if I were to do that, you get S squared minus 70S plus 120. 1200. Excuse me, this is equal to 600. So that is step number 2. Check. Step number 3, move all terms to one side of the equal sign. Let's do that. Well, so minus 600. So 0 is equal to S squared minus 70S plus 600. Okay, so you must have all zeros. So from here, now I can factor this polynomial. Okay, draw your X. This is my C term, B term, so 600. I get negative 70. This one's a little tricky. What about 60 and 10? right? So 60 times 10 is 600, but negative because my bottom has to be negative. Yeah, that works. So if I were to factor this out, I have zeros equal to s minus 60, s minus 10. Okay, so now that's step number 4. Use the zero product property and solve for the variable. So if I have this, let's finish that. If s minus 60 is equal to 0, s minus 10 is equal to 0, I have s equals 60, and I have s equals 10. I have 2 possible solutions, but one of them is actually not possible, right? So how do I know which one works? Well, let's plug it back in. So if I were to plug in 60 in for s, so 60 minus 40, and you get 20. If I were to plug in 60 minus 30, you get 30. Okay, there's 20 times 30. This I don't see anything wrong with that. So now let's plug in 10. If I plug in 10 times 40, you get negative 30. 10 minus 30, you get negative 20. Can you have a length of negative 30 and a width of negative 20? No, right? It's not possible. You can't have negative square plot of land. So therefore 10 is not possible. So s is equal to 60. But what is the area of the square plot of land? So it's asking for the entire area. So if s is equal to 60, 60 area is length times width, right? So you get 60 times 60, you get 3,600 square meters. Done. Okay, so there's a lot of moving parts in here, so that's why we're spending quite a few amount of days just working through all of this. Okay, so kind of using the same example, why don't you guys work on your own, number 7. So once again, try it, and if you're like, I don't get it, I'm trying but I don't, then watch the on your own videos, please, because I do walk through all of this, and I try to explain everything in with detail. Okay, so now let's move on to the summary. So fill out the diagram to show the relationships between B and C and P and Q. So if, as he said earlier, if my C is positive and B is positive, then P and Q are both positive. However, C is positive. Remember, I said if no matter what, C is positive, I will have the same sign, both positive, both negative. How do I know? Well, depends on my B term. If my B is negative, then P and Q are both negative. Okay, but however, if my C term is negative, then no matter what my B term is, my P and Q are opposite signs. One is positive and one is going to be negative. It doesn't matter which one. Well, actually it does. They have to add up to my B term. So now that we've done the summary part, fill out the level of understanding, and if you didn't get the on your own correct, or if you're still confused, go to the on your own video and watch that for clarification.